looking at Fallout, the new, Fallout Season 2. I just got into the series, and it's a great series. I gotta be really honest. I'm really pleased with it right now. I'm really enjoying watching the series. I wanted to kind of give my first thoughts about it, just like kind of in general, how I'm feeling about the series, and just kind of talking about, some of the main characters, how this thing really pulls together, right? And it's so good. It's been so good already that I'm considering just going out and buying the games. Like, just getting like, because I know like the games are pretty cheap. It's in-game purchases and stuff like that. But I remember one of my boys watching this thing way back in the day, like playing this game way back in the day. And I don't know. I think this thing's been out since it's like 2010 or '06. Like this thing's got some weight on it in terms of having a massive following, having like a huge kind of success. Not only in the video game industry, because you go this deep. I think they're on like their fifth version of this thing, like their fifth iteration. So it's really good. And let's talk a little bit about why and like what I'm getting out of it so far. And the first thing, you see I'm in one of the bunkers right now, and the styling, even the logo, like everything is really giving you a time period illusion. And they do it in a lot of ways. Like it's not just the look, right? And it is the look, but it's not just the look. So everything around it in this world looks like it's right out of the 50s. So because that's the moment when this identifiable Americana, and we would go back to this kind of Americana a lot in storytelling, and like the smiling mascot, like the artwork, all that stuff is not by accident. Obviously, they're really like, we're gonna represent this period of time. So it's you're coming into where culturally they kind of got stuck. Right now, they're still relevant technologically, and some of the stuff we see. I mean, the vaults are great technology. They've got some advanced technology. I mean, like when you look at like some of the other implements. So yeah, so we'll talk about that. But you can see like they're still thriving about the nuclear family, even though they're all in these vaults. You still got your like mailbox outside. Like, see, they still kind of create this industrial, almost like kitschy small town Americana is really what it is. So everybody smiles. Like the logo guy up here, like that's not a mistake, right? He's smiling like that because they're repping that life. Like they're all about that life. So when you step into it right off the bat, like you're taken away by this like mixture of culture and technology that you see. But that's not the only mix here, because there's a few characters. Like one, this society is extremely well integrated, right? Which when we think about 1950s America, that wasn't happening. So we're seeing interracial relationships like it's nothing. Like it's funny that probably should just be normal, but because of how we mess things up here, it's not. So it stands out. I know that's by design. Like crucial characters. Like we'll talk about the ghoul and his backstory, and it includes that. They don't even say anything about it, which is weird. Like usually, if I'm watching TV and it's the Jeffersons and Tom Willis and his wife, right? They were there and it was treated like it was a normal thing, but they talked about it. Like they did talk about it. George talked about it a lot. So they don't talk about it at all in this series, So it's just there. So this is the 50s, and we get that it's the 50s. It looks like the 50s, but the technology isn't, and kind of how they're moving also is not the 50s. So it looks like this world that's kind of stuck, but it's kind of not, I mean, but it is, right? Because it's a big part of it. I just contradicted myself. Because the biggest drivers in the series, all of this is Cold War anxiety. Or it looks like Cold War anxiety, and it is, but spoiler alert, right? When you figure out who actually drops the bombs, it changes that whole narrative. Like, I guess the people, the culture, society was still caught up in being, that anxiety of the warnings. This is like during that Cuban Missile Crisis. And as a period of time, a lot of things jump off of that. Like, off of that period of time. When we're going to go back and talk about it, because I was just thinking about X-Men First Class was also based around this specific event. So, historical events tend to have, big gravity like that, where they draw stories in and people base cultural splits based on this, right? But it also represents some other aspects of humanity that we kind of want to talk about. And this is distrust of the government. And we see this massive distrust for the government, and you're like, yeah, they should, because the government is doing stuff. They are actually experimenting on people, right? And this is what Vault, I'm talking about bad companies. This is what the Vault company, Vault Tech, ends up doing. So they're very insidious. The company itself is very insidious. Everything they're doing, everybody is so ultra nice, and that's what this disconnect is. So you got these two worlds. Everybody living in these vaults, who's like, this is the 50s. Everything is good. Everybody's super trusting. They all expect everyone to be doing the right thing, even though, spoiler alert, they're not doing the right thing themselves, right? So there's tremendous amount of that going on. And then they've got this like this advanced tech. So you got you have fully functional autonomous robots who can handle tasks of their own, perform medical procedures, negotiate, have limited artificial intelligence. So there's a lot that's going on, and I would say this is kind of the technology evolved, but I guess the culture didn't. But only down here, up top, the rest of the culture went on in a completely different post-apocalyptic way. So there literally are two worlds that exist, two completely different worlds, and I don't know which one of them is more dangerous, right? And it kind of makes sense. Now, for me, I looked at these vaults and I'm like, I'm claustrophobic, man. It's no way, right? It's no way. But if a nuclear bomb's coming, what are you gonna do? So them setting up life here, it feels kind of normal, but yet it's not normal at all. And we're seeing a lot of it, how culture evolves. Now, the vaults themselves, we find out, were not about, saving the earth. These are experiments. Each one of these vaults operate as its own culture, community, all that stuff. Its own experiment, really. And the experiments are slightly different, and we're just starting to get like a sense of how these various experiments are different. We know that 33, where our protagonist character Lucy is from, this was primarily like a group of scientists. They were all scientists, but we're finding out things that happened in 31 and 33 that were setting themselves up. So rich people, yeah, they definitely don't like you guys in this one. And it's probably all true. Like, rich people probably are doing this stuff literally right now. Like, knowing the rich people that we have right now, and what happens to rich people? Because rich people are all us who just got money. And then you get money to a certain degree, and you guys start doing absolutely insane stuff, like doing experimentation on people. And like, you guys can do whatever experiment you want. So, this is true part of Americana that doesn't really get talked about a lot. We went through a period of MK Ultra. We went through, they have done so many things to figure out how to mentally program us. In real life, that it's shocking, right? I mean, it's far beyond it. So to see something like this, Fallout, yeah, it's not that crazy of an idea. If you really think about what our government has historically done before, dude, it is not a crazy idea that they would do something like this. I'm just saying, I think we have to be real about this. And we are pretty much real about this, right? So the overall experiment, what they're doing, it's flimsy, but it holds together because the story works itself. Now, then there's the Wastelands itself. And the Wastelands, man, I'm just going to give you a shot. The Wastelands are just, yeah, it's terrible. It is a wasteland. Like, you have all this stuff that's been destroyed. Like, this is, let me see if I can get a good shot here. Let's see here. All right. So this is kind of, you can see the Wastelands is just terrible. It's all messed up in the back. Like, people are, you can't get good water. This is literally a Fallout event on the grandest scale, on a full scale Fallout event. This is exactly what was going down. So it feels very real. The contamination is real. The death is real. The mutations are real. You got crazy. I mean, and like, there's even experimentation. Like, some of the stuff involved in the vault systems, and I'm gonna get into it when I do this whole breakdown on the vault system itself. This would blow your mind on how insane these people were and what they were doing. So we're gonna get, so all this stuff is cool. Now the wasteland is the chaos that comes out of that. Like, civilization is destroyed. Everyone is trying to go for self. That's it. It's all survival. Resources are very thin. So people are trying to put it together. They're forced to be pretty ugly as they're doing it because they have to take advantage of every opportunity they got. While the people inside the vaults figure like they're the lucky ones, and we get to be good and we get to study and all that stuff. And that's going to get ripped away. But the wasteland really strips away, like, it's as hard as it gets, man. It's as raw as it gets. You're not going to find any place rougher than the wastelands. In a sense of the story, like you are supposed to die up there. So when our protagonist, and I'm going to get her up on the screen so we could talk about Lucy, who this is where the bulk of the story really starts. Like, there's two people that you really are going to know, and I'm going to talk about them in detail. You got Lucy here, right, and you got the ghoul. Now the important thing about them is he kind of represents the soul of the story, right? He is this corrupted, stank, foul soul that this world is. The ghoul represents that 100%. Lucy is like the heart of the soul. She's what we wish. She kind of represents on the surface what she is, not what her predecessors are, not what her environment really was. What she is what we hope culture would be. Like, very cooperative, very friendly, always willing to help people. She seems stupid and naive under the context of the world that she's in now, but this is the person that we would want to live next door. Like, if everything was a good situation, even on the surface, if everybody or more people behave like her and we could trust each other to do basic civilizational protection stuff, the world would be a better place. That's 100% the truth. However, the ghoul represents more what the actual world is. He is more the soul of what's going on, right? So that's what these two characters really kind of represent. And so it's funny because you see all these crazy things, but I definitely want to get into the core characters. So Lucy, of course, is like the face of the series, the heart of the series. And what she is she was a vault dweller, right? She grew up in a vault. And so everything was good for her. And even when she starts off the series, she's seeing that she's supposed to be getting married to this guy from another vault, number 31 or whatever. And there's a whole, debacle with that thing. But she was down. She meets the guy. It was just like, they're talking sperm count, age, and like she meets this guy and immediately like, okay, I'm wife. We're going back to the spot. And so she gets down with it right away. All this to find out this guy is completely a fraud. So that's kind of a moral twist for her that she gets right off the bat. And she's going to get a lot of these things compounded on her. And we're gonna contemplate like what's going on in her noodle down the road, right? That's something we're definitely going to get into with Lucy's part. And then she has this idealism, and we're watching her arc, and she's the first character that we kind of notice the arc that she's on, and we could see it visually. Well, I guess she's not the first. Hers is more immediate, right? We see it like this, right? We see her progressing from this, right, clean and crisp and clean to bloody and dirty, right? And there's a reason for that. And we'll see other characters, like everybody goes through visible changes as they start to be changed by this environment. So in no way is this just her, and we'll see it in other characters, right? So we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk a little bit about Maximus because he's gonna be another and very important character. Now, all these characters, I'm gonna break them down in much greater details. Let me see if I can find an image of Maximus here, because this is kind of the dude right here. He's a super important guy in the storyline because he represents. There's really four good chapters of people that we're talking about here. And he represents another one. And we'll talk about the Brotherhood. But he's an initiate. He starts off in that realm. He's also connected to, a Shady Sands, the city that gets destroyed. And we'll have to talk about that in a separate piece. But he comes in and he's obsessed with, like, getting power and safety because he grew up in the wastelands, like, just raw. Parents, everybody taken away from him. So as a kid, he had to, like, navigate this very real landscape of, like, marauders and looters and all that stuff. And he evolves. He changes his character. He carries a lot inside of him. Like, mentally, the dude's, like, very, very tough guy, man. I have to say, he's a very, very tough guy. So we get to see him go through evolve, and we're going to see how his evolution is a sharp arc right now. Right off the bat, he's going through it like real time, as fast as anyone in the series is. In his growth, he's taken on a lot of wounds, but overall, like, this guy is still, he's still a protagonist, and you're still gonna like the guy. At least I do. All right. So then we got to get to talking about the ghoul, and the ghoul. As much as we talk about Lucy, like, obviously no one is more a representative of this world than this gentleman here. And the cool thing about it is they play with time, of course, because everybody plays with time now. We get to see him from his former self, right? Which is this Cooper Howard, who is an actor. He's got it all, right? He's got the wife, the cute kid, the beautiful wife, the cute kid, nice cars, the fame, and the money. So he's living it, and he becomes obviously the representative for this vault system that his wife works for. So we get to see him, like, you're gonna see him almost as much on the screen as his former self as his current state, and he's hard. He sets the tone around here, man. Like, everybody has to back up off of this guy. So his meaning to the series, his meaning to the world is really, really significant because he's telling a more complete perspective of the story. He kind of understands it leading up to the bombs actually dropping, understanding why the bombs are dropping, to now seeing all the after effects over like a 200-year period. So we kind of see like he represents other ghouls. He represents a type. This is something that happens to people as they're there and they get exposed to the radiation stuff. So he's not just even himself, like Lucy's vault. Maximus is the knighthood, the Brotherhood of Steel. He's that. This guy represents, not only the controlling party prior to the moment, the event. He's also in this class of ghouls who are dealing with some particular like ailments because of this. So they have a serum, a formula that they need to get, a solution they need to get, so they don't turn into these mindless creatures. So all while this is going on, he's looking for his family. That's really what's eating at him, and it's the only real like vulnerability that you see out of this character. Okay, so now we've got a good understanding of like the main characters. Let's talk a little bit about the company, which is Vault Technologies, and the technology is 100% on point. But this company here is literally they're villainous, and we're finding that out as we find out that it was a lot of experimentations being done at their direction. A lot of people were failing. A lot of people were dying. So they have a lot of blood on their hands. This is where Lucy's father is 100% connected. He was an overseer, so he had a lot of authority, and they were the authority figures. And what they try to do is they control benevolent behavior. They wanted everybody from their, vault, right, to be good people. So this is kind of how they program, and you can see the type of people, like, who they selected was they wanted the best of middle management. They're obviously the overseers. They want the best of middle management to be the culture that they want. So that's who they chose for their experimentation. And as we get into talking about that, then of course we have Betty Pierce, who not only is rocking like, oh, this is a terrible image, but she's rocking the best fro that you could have in the game. And she's also particularly insidious, right? Like this woman here, she is known for being like slyly manipulative, like slyly, cleverly, without a doubt, manipulative in a lot of ways, right? She is got some tricks up her sleeve that haven't fully been revealed yet, but we're gonna get to that with her soon enough. She's just kind of taken over. I think it's 33 that they're in, and she seems kind of grandmotherly, but she's absolutely a savage when it comes to being an overlord in this sense. All right, now then you have the Brotherhood and the Brotherhood of Steel, and these are the guys. They're going to be highly recognizable because they're the only ones running around with armor suits on. If I can grab this image here, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the only group that's running around with these. And these have these amazing fusion reactors that are also used to power like a whole vault system like this or other living facility, like a living domicile. You could power yourself off of these fusion cells. That's what they're powered by. So they are the most powerful individual machines. Even just one man inside of this is a wrecking crew. So you get 5 or 6 of them together, 10 of them together. It's a pretty nice military force. So this is how they're controlling things, and this is their contribution. So we've seen them like give this out, and then of course the Badlands or the Wastelands are just full with all kinds of like just characters. You've got all kinds of people out there surviving, and we can see them like this lady here. I'm gonna give you, this is Mama, what's her name? Mama J June or something like that. And this is Ma June. She's just your regular citizen who's absolutely a hustler that has to get through, because you got raiders, you got, you know, just people running around collecting, people trying to barter. So all this is done to give you this really well-rounded cast of individuals, right, that kind of represents this world, I think, in its totality. So Lucy, Maximus, the Ghoul, Hank, right, Vault Tech, the Brotherhood. If you get all that stuff, you're kind of already having a high level understanding of how the series, and they're not hiding information, like they readily like give it up for plot lines and so forth. But early on, we're seeing like how these characters are going to move, getting a good understanding for like the environment, the feel of it, the dangers. And as we get more into the experimentations, we'll get deeper into like why things are so dangerous, what are the potholes you need to particularly look out for, and you know who the moving parts are in all this, because everybody's got their own codes. Nobody is working together, right? Everybody is a solo contractor in this world, and it makes sense post Fallout. So I just wanted to kind of dig in, give an overview of the characters. I will be back when I start going deeper into each of the individual, you know, like profiles and all the characters.